Have you ever noticed that when you come up with a plan that's going to be beneficial to you, suddenly everyone wants to get in on that very same plan? Well, that's what Lincoln and his sisters found out in the episode I'm going to talk about today. So join me as I, SteamTeamRedubUK, CC Trainor-Ling, bring you another retro review from past seasons of The Loud House. Cue the intro. Today's episode is Changing the Baby. In this episode, Lincoln tries to turn Lily into a miniature version of himself so they can do all the fun things he likes to do, and eventually his sisters attempt to mold Lily in their own respective images. I don't mention episode titles a lot since they're pretty straightforward as either obvious puns or references and so on, but this was one of the first times where one of the titles really stood out to me because it really lived up to its name and not just because Lincoln outright said it himself. Every one of Lily's older siblings were trying to turn their youngest sister into someone who would join them in doing all their favorite things. Lincoln's multiple rejections from earlier were a sign that indicated how not only do the girls have nothing in common with their brother, but they also have nothing in common with each other. That is until a room with the feud came along, but that's beside the point. So to accommodate their problem, they all wanted Lily, an infant who they assumed was an unformed lump of clay, to be just like them so they would always have someone in the family with whom they would be very compatible. Everyone had their cute moments with their baby sister, especially Lincoln when he was reading to her, and they each provided their own brand of amusement. Obviously, their attempts to keep Lily for themselves resulted in a wacky chase sequence throughout the hallway, and it ended with them literally fighting each other over who gets to keep her. In a sense, the 10 oldest kids trying to make Lily choose between who she wanted to be with made them all come off as antagonistic to one another, so I can't say anyone was truly in the right the entire time. Their individual intentions were selfish for their own reasons, and they all failed to realize Lily was not the blank slate they all assumed. She does in fact have her own thing, which would be her blanket. Something Lincoln takes away several times before throwing it in a trash can, which was then discovered by Clyde. Speaking of whom, Clyde may have overreacted to Lincoln turning him down to spend time with Lily to the point where he started freaking out and stalking them around town to see what they were up to, but his feelings were justified because he couldn't understand why his best friend would rather play with a baby than with him. Of course, this led to Clyde going back to Lincoln's house dressed as the baby since he assumed that's what he was into, and I have to say his change in wardrobe was one of the most cringe things I had ever seen up to that point in the series. But anyway, that's when Lily finally decided who she wanted to spend time with. She chose Clyde because he had her blanket, and this had Lincoln coming to realize he and his sisters can't mold Lily in their image since she's always going to have the things she likes. Of course, he also remembered at that very moment he already had a best friend to do stuff with, which makes you wonder why he didn't just call Clyde in the first place. Actually, the sisters could have done the same thing by calling their own friends to do stuff as well, but hey, why split hairs here? Also, I noticed 3 plot holes as the episode played out. First, Lenny says she doesn't like playing video games because they lead to brain rot, says the girl holding a phone to her face, and yet she wasn't exactly turning down Lincoln's racing game in the previous episode driving Miss Hazy. There's also the part where Luna took Lily into her room so the two of them could jam together, but how could she have snuck into Lisa's bedroom if her other sisters were blocking the door and the window was closed? Convenient cartoon logic we're not supposed to question sounds about right, so let's go with that. And finally, if Lucy is into the supernatural, why would she not want to go ghost hunting with Lincoln? Was it because she likes the ghosts that are supposedly living in their house and has no interest in hunting down her friends just for the fun of it? Probably, but it's hard to say. Overall, this was a pretty good sibling-focused episode with lots of adorable and comedic moments to go around and a good message on how you can't impose change on others just because you want them to look and act in a certain way. I consider this among the most underrated episodes of the series, and it really deserves more attention. With that said, I give Changing the Baby an 8.8 out of 10. Well folks, that concludes my review of Changing the Baby. So I gotta ask, what did you guys think of this episode? Sound off in the comments below, and be sure to click that subscribe button for more Loud House related content. That's going to do it for me. I'll catch you guys for the next video, but until then, this is SteamTeamRedubUK, CC Trainor-Ling, signing off. Peace out, home slices.